guys, and welcome back to Eden. So let's just jump right back in. Straight to the point. She didn't even seem concerned about Alicia. How unexpected. Was she the cold type? You seem quite concerned about her. Not particularly. You are. Apathetic, but she definitely said it. It would be a lie to say she wasn't on my mind, but apparently Alicia proposed to the Major that you stay in this room tonight. That was unexpected. Sion's hand suddenly stopped moving. I could have sworn you didn't want anyone but Alicia entering this room. Alicia seems to trust you. She was quick with her responses. So I trust you as well, that's all. She made a few taps at the keyboard and then stood up. She walked over and stood beside me. What is it? Would you like to talk a little? I don't mind, but aren't you busy? I am, but this is a rare occasion. For someone besides Alicia and the Major to be in here? Alicia is kind to any and everyone. The staff and soldiers here seem fond of her. However, even if she is admired, she has never actually fallen for anyone. That's the kind of person Alicia is. That's the kind of person she has always been. You've been together since you were little, right? You've been together since you were little, right? We've been together about 100 years now, I suppose. 100 years? Although I knew Felix's enjoyed perpetual youth and longevity, it was still a surprise to actually hear it. From my point of view, 100 years was the same as an eternity. The girl before my eyes, she had lived that long? Approximately 3,000 Felixes have been produced. Among those, around 100 with the same genetic base exist. The same? Does that mean Alicia is one of those 100? And I am as well. Although I say the base is identical, we became completely different individuals due to the genetic modifications. If the base is the same, does that make you and Alicia sisters? No, more like twins. You can see for yourself just how the modifications turned out. Sion tilted her head, looking somewhat bothered. Sion and Alicia's physiques certainly were far too different to call them twins. A Felix's physical growth halts around the age 20, and they do not age any further after that. Alicia grew normally as far as Felixes go, but an error may have occurred in my genes, which meant her growth halted at a considerably early stage. Even though I've been alive for 100 years, the fact that children's clothes still suit me is rather amusing. Alicia was born a little before me. Since I've also always looked this way, she enjoys playing the big sister. It can be kind of annoying. I had a feeling Alicia was a bit of a big sister to everyone personally. Alicia and I were always raised in the same place ever since. No, it's more like I was raised by her. They really did seem to have been together for a very long time. Alicia said she was a maid, but she was actually a foster parent of sorts. And that's why I believe what she says, and I trust anyone she trusts. I don't have a poor impression of Alicia, but I don't know you very well at all. And I don't think you should trust someone like me when neither of us know each other very well either. I'm tired of doubting people. She said that without hesitation. Getting tired of it isn't the issue. It's essential to protect yourself. Or perhaps you're not afraid of getting hurt? I am. There's no such thing as someone who is not afraid of getting hurt, even if they were a god or a saint. Existing in this world, getting hurt, and fear of getting hurt, they're a set package. You cannot separate them. If you're afraid, shouldn't you at least take some precautions? It's because I know how meaningless doubt is. Trust may be just as meaningless, but it is far more comfortable than continuing to live in fear. That's why I have but two options. I can either trust or not care. You're quite apathetic towards your guards. The fact that she almost never showed herself was good evidence of that. That was all the more reason I felt it was strange to be right in front of her like this. Indeed, from my perspective, the soldiers protecting this research facility are more like prison wardens than guards. Wardens? But that's done and over with. If I cannot stop the end, if I cannot change fate, then I want to be involved in what will come, at least a little. At least, that's how I feel. What are you saying? The end? She must have meant how the end of the world was drawing near. No. We were all going into space before it ended. A new world would be waiting for us there. No, I see. Shouldn't you know by now? Rumors are dreadful things. I didn't really intend to hide it. It doesn't bother me if people know either. So you're really... She didn't seem upset. Why did it seem like she might even be enjoying herself? It wouldn't be strange if I were to die soon. Why? Why was this girl able to so easily speak of her own death? Had death become irrelevant since she lived such a long time? Why do you look so surprised? Because you said something surprising. Really? Well, I could see it being surprising if you were a normal person. What do you mean? Was she saying I was abnormal somehow? I heard a bit of your personal history from Alicia. You wandered through quite a few battlefields in your youth, right? You must have seen quite a few people prepared to lose their lives. The battlefield is a place where death is a given, and people try frantically to survive. There's nobody who doesn't fear getting hurt, and there are definitely no people who aren't afraid of dying. The words, "I don't want to die," weren't exactly foreign to my ears. No matter how much of a big talker a soldier was going out, they always came back a frail, hollowed shell of a man after they'd been touched by the Reaper. The battlefield was a great place for whittling down egos and revealing people's true natures. Everyone is afraid of dying. Even you? She gave me a stare so serious I hadn't expected it. Feeling a bit anxious, I nodded slightly. I see. So I was wrong. About what? Those days when you volunteered for the bloodiest of assignments, took on the brunt of the conflicts with terrorists who would act by any means necessary, and just kept on fighting with all you had. If you weren't trying to become a hero, then I can't think of any other reason than hurrying to your death. She was serious, but still seemed somehow amused, like a child who had just found a new toy. A cruel innocence was dwelling within her eyes. I'm a soldier, so I went to war as I was told. Besides, if I wanted to die, I had plenty of opportunities. I think it was your ego that wouldn't allow it, but I'll stop. Those who accept death and those who rush to die, I thought they were somehow similar, but this proved to be an unproductive conversation. Her expression vanished and she closed her mouth. But when she tried to push off from the wall, she staggered. Oh my. I rushed to catch her slender shoulders. No, it was more like I caught her in my arms. Ah, she's so cute! Her head looks really big compared to her hands here. Uh, Sorry guys, taking so many screenshots. Excuse me. A quiet yelp escaped her, and I apologized on reflex. But I had not yet released her. The strength had completely left her body. It's it's been a long time. What has? Since I've been touched by a man. No, by anyone other than Alicia. If it is unpleasant, I'll let you go right away. However, please stand up first. I'll be okay. Thank you. Her voice trailed off a little as I let her go. Her face was turning ever so slightly red. Should I call a doctor? No, this is a relatively common occurrence. I might be a little tense since you're here today. She played around with her bangs with her slender fingertips and faced me after a deep breath. Warrant Officer Haruna. Yes. Do you know why you were called here? To defend the research facility. She shook her head. This research facility will soon complete its mission. This place will soon be shut down. Inaba had finished checking over some documents when he received an incoming call. It came right as he was about to make some coffee. He couldn't ignore it, so he switched on the transmission at his computer's terminal. Yes? Major Inaba, it's me. General, sir, it's been a long time. Due to strengthening electromagnetic interference in the past few years, there had been a few opportunities to communicate in real time with the outside. Inaba was thankful, since he usually got away without being scolded directly by his superiors, but on the rare occasions a signal managed to make it through. It was depressing indeed. We'll only be able to maintain the line for another 20 minutes or so I'd like to get to the point. Of course. Regarding Sion's changing condition, there is none. There is also no particular lag in her completing her work, as expected of her. I see, she has been working for 100 years, too. She really is impressive. I agree. But as far as no lag in her work, the Immigration Office says otherwise. Immigration Office, you say? Improvements based on her data submissions to both the colony ships undergoing fine-tuning and those already in space are currently underway, but there appear to be many errors. Could the cause be due to her deteriorating physical condition? It's just as written in her attending physician's reports. Her bodily functions are declining, but there hasn't been much deterioration these past few years. Of course, I can't say for certain it isn't the source of her errors. It is a fact that several accidents have occurred in the past few months. Although they were not the fault of her errors, she is the person in charge of the colony's ship's development. Inaba had already been informed of the frequency of accidents, but there was a project that he had been running on an unreasonable schedule from the very beginning. Accidents were unavoidable, and he hadn't thought it would be enough to change the situation. So, what would you have me do, sir? There is no need for you to do anything. There would be nothing gained from holding her accountable. Inaba felt relieved. The higher-ups weren't idiots either. There are no scientists more capable than Sion, after all. That's right. Of course, ordinary humans don't stand a chance against her. But even amongst the Felixes, she stands as a prodigy. More than 3,000 Felixes were created before genetic modification was completely prohibited. Sion was one of them, but we have no idea why Sion alone held such unparalleled talents. Even exact clones couldn't match the original's abilities. Inaba was just a mere major, but he had personally watched over her and knew a lot of classified information, including things he wished he didn't know. That's right. Even if she becomes weak and her abilities wither, she's still an extremely valuable entity. That will not change. Not just her abilities, her presence alone is becoming quite important. Indeed. Before long, the colonization project will shift to its final stage. before this world ends, I would like you to execute your final task promptly. I am aware. For the sake of the future of mankind, she must continue to live for us." The two men exchanged a few more pleasantries before the line finally went dead. The office fell into silence. What had he been trying to do before that call? Inaba thought a moment and recalled he was going to make coffee, but instead reached for his whiskey bottle. He was no longer in the mood for coffee. He opened the bottle and stared at his empty cup. "Keep living, huh?" "As your puppet?" He took a firm grasp of his cup and slammed it onto the desk. Although he knew it was meaningless, he had to vent some of his frustration. Inaba was the commanding officer at the research facility. He had to stand as the pinnacle of peace and calm when making judgments. He didn't have the luxury of getting carried away by his emotions. That was why he could only let his emotions explode when he was alone. In truth, even if he wanted to pass these feelings off to someone, this was all he could do. "Shut down? What do you mean?" "Do you know of someone named Hajime Shinyoji?" "No, I don't." When I said that, Sion looked a bit disappointed. "Well, I guess he's already a person of the past. He was a scientist like myself. He was a substantial advocate of the Earth Evacuation Project, and the one who created the Felixes. On top of that, he was also quite eccentric, built a mansion on a solitary island out at sea, and shut himself away, continuing his research there for the rest of his life." "You mean this research facility?" "Yeah, you might say he had exquisite tastes. He sought refinement in his living space, unusual for a scientist." "I suppose that's true." I slouched my head as a question promptly came to mind. "About him being the creator of Felixes." "Yes. He also created me and Alicia. Dr. Shinyoji used the facility to conduct research on Felixes. Both Alicia and I were born and raised here." "So this was yours and Alicia's home?" "Yes. Alicia and I studied here together with other Felixes. Eventually, the doctor became so immersed in his research that it destroyed his body and he passed away. Alicia had been taking care of the facility ever since." "What? Alicia runs this place?" "Oh, you didn't know?" "I suppose not knowing would be reasonable, since she normally goes around in that outfit." "Since she's a maid." "Isn't it lovely?" Was it? I always thought Alicia wore the maid uniform because it suited Sion's tastes." "I don't mind discussing her attire in more depth some other time, but let's set it aside for now. On paper, Alicia is the supervisor for the facility, although Major Inaba has since taken over security and many of its related functions." "Makes sense. Hello, update. Go the fuck away." It was expected that the government would keep Sion's residents under their control. Even if Alicia ran the place, she didn't seem to exercise any authority regarding its daily functions. "This place, in essence, has become my personal research facility for a while." Her expression was unmoving as she spoke. "I was in charge of the Earth Evacuation Project, focusing specifically on the development of the colony ships, but I've never once been to the site where they were actually being built." "So you just gave instructions remotely?" "The airwaves are still good enough for me to direct construction from the fundamental designs to the implementation stages. As long as there is an environment where I'm able to receive data in real time, there was no reason why I couldn't remain here." "That was probably best as well." Although she was the ship's developer, it wasn't like she'd be the one with a wrench in hand building the engines. It was decided that it would be very beneficial to house me in this facility, which is just like a hideout. Many have targeted me, and the actual construction sites were constantly under threat of terrorist attacks. I was also in favor of concealing myself. After all, I couldn't continue my work if I were killed. However, this game of hide and seek is now over. The scary ogres haven't been able to find me, though even scarier ogres seem to have been beside me all along. She looked at me for a moment and briefly chuckled to herself. The war is over and the project has entered its final stage. The finishing touches are the last thing on the agenda. I'm the person in charge of the project which took humanity into space. I'd like to witness with my own eyes the moment the very last individual is sent on their way. However, they wouldn't permit you to stay until the very end. It's impossible to let you remain in a world that could end at any time. Exactly. I'll leave this place, and once I do, there will be no reason to keep this facility operational. The facility will shut down and you'll head to space. I suspect that you will likely be employed as my guard. You're sufficiently capable, and the Major seems to trust you. That's not really true. Above all else, you seem to have abundant experience in anti-terrorism, and personally, I have no complaints about you. Thank you for that. Taking Sion safely into space probably wouldn't be that simple. But I am all out of time for this episode, so if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!